Hey everybody, it's your boy, and today's video is going to be about a very interesting topic, detransitioners. So what is a detransitioner? Well, I guess it's kind of obvious, isn't it? But for those of you who don't know, a detransitioner is basically a person who was once trans. They may have gone through either a full operation or a partial operation, or maybe they went through just hormonal therapy and then decided that, contrary to what they initially believed, or maybe they didn't quite have gender dysphoria, maybe they were influenced by other people, that they were no longer trans and that actually they're far more comfortable in their own body as their original sex than as the one that they thought they were initially. So as you can probably tell, that's going to be an issue in this day and age, in particular for the trans lobby and the left at large, because in their opinion, these people are a threat. But why are they a threat to a group that tells us that we should be tolerant and accept people for who they are? This is the same political force that even wants to protect paedophiles, yet for some reason, detransitioners are almost a taboo subject within the trans community and the left at large. Why is this the case? Well, first off, they go against the entire leftist narrative in regards to gender and trans rights. As we've seen, the left will tell us that we need to give kids hormonal therapy and the right to transition, and adults need to be accepted as women or as men when actually they're the opposite, because if we don't accept them, if we aren't tolerant, if we don't give access to these life-changing operations, especially to children, then they will kill themselves. Or if we don't accept them as they are, despite all contrary evidence and scientific research and knowledge, they may kill themselves, or that other people may kill them. Sexual reassignment surgery is basically seen as the only cure for gender dysphoria. There is no talk of, well, let's try and give somebody just therapy. Let's try and give somebody else maybe some medication and perhaps look for other underlying issues that might be the real reason behind these identity crises that these people suffer. That's prejudiced. That's transphobic. Detransitioners prove that, unfortunately, sexual reassignment surgery doesn't always work and isn't for everybody. I mean, you'd think that perhaps the high suicide rate post-operation would be a cause of a concern, but then the left will just hand-wave that away and say they don't kill themselves because maybe their mental issues weren't addressed by the surgery, but that society made them kill themselves. Which is funny, because they don't claim that for men. If you think detransitioners are a tiny minority of a tiny minority, well, think again, because their numbers are only going to increase. In fact, their numbers are increasing. They are organising, they are getting into communities, and in fact, they are even suing medical authorities, and thanks to a landmark court case in my own country, where a detransitioner successfully sued some of the worst clinics in the UK when it comes to trans issues, the Tavistock Clinic and some other NHS hospital down south. We are going to be seeing more detransitioners become more confident and braver and try to tell their stories to us and to tell us the dangers of sexual reassignment surgery to specific people and to tell us the realities of what it's like in the system. Another thing that detransitioners expose is the medical malpractice when it comes to treating people with gender dysphoria or who appear to have symptoms like gender dysphoria. What is meant to happen in the West, at least in my country, but I think this happens everywhere, is that people who go to seek sexual reassignment surgery have to actually go through rigorous therapy because the medical professionals need to know if these people actually do have gender dysphoria and it's not just a phase, or maybe it's been influenced by other factors in their lives or other people telling them to do these things and that they're actually perfectly fine. They then need to have letters from medical professionals that say this person has been diagnosed, and then they need other letters and they might have to pay a lot of money, depending on their system, to actually get the surgery, or even just to get the hormone. It's meant to be a rigorous process and they have to be guided through it constantly throughout. But what is actually happening? What is actually going on? Well, you see, what really goes on is they go for a few therapy sessions. It's nowhere near as rigorous as you think. The therapists, the medical professionals, they don't really challenge these detransitioners, which is one of the main gripes that they have. They're not challenged. They're not being told to delve deep into their psyches. The therapists aren't doing it themselves to truly figure out what is going on with these people. Do they have it? Do they not? It's just accepted that they have it because they say these things and the therapists just want to whisk them away down the pipeline to get hormones and eventually surgery. This means that people are being put on hormones and put into operations that they shouldn't actually be having. Why is that? I really don't know. Is it political and cultural pressures? That has to be a factor. Or is it just medical malpractice? Do these people really not care and just want it to be done away with because of waiting lists? I don't know. I personally believe that a lot of these people, especially in places like the Tavistock Clinic, they have a vested political interest in making sure that these people are whisked away down the pipeline as fast as humanely possible. The left and the trans lobby don't want you to know about this, because if you did know about this, you would be outraged. The normies would be outraged if they found out about this and want answers. The last thing they want is for gender reassignment surgery to be made legal to kids, and then the proper method of actually diagnosing these people is not being followed, and people who don't even have gender dysphoria, who have been misdiagnosed, end up having this life-changing surgery that is barely reversible, sometimes irreversible, and they end up killing themselves because their body and their mind reject each other. Watching the detransitioners on Benjamin Boyce's channel that he interviewed, some of them appeared on this 60 Minutes documentary, was quite eye-opening, because two of the ones I watched, they had the most banal reasons for wanting to transition. It's pretty clear that they didn't have gender dysphoria, that in fact they had other underlying issues, people trying to influence them. It's called pink pilling. If you don't know what pink pilling is essentially a person trying to groom another into becoming trans. There's been a lot of exposés about this phenomenon, most famously in a school in Britain where autistic girls were being brainwashed into thinking that they're non-binary and then being encouraged once they get older to have double mastectomies to become men. One of them, a man by the name of Garrett, even said that he only wanted to transition so he could wear women's clothes, despite the fact that the 70s and 80s happened where it was made acceptable for even those manliest macho man in a glam metal band to wear dresses and makeup. Like, this is stuff that is accepted within society. Some people might look at you weird, but nobody's going to harm you or attack you for wearing these clothes. You can wear whatever you want, nobody cares, really, ultimately. And I think it's because these people end up in these largely leftist-dominated LGBT circles where they're told that society is sexist, that gender roles need to be abolished because society wants you to be a man in this particular way and a woman in this particular way, that there's no room for exploration or experimentation or to live your lives the way that you want them to live. The patriarchy has your role fixed for you from birth till death. And I guess these people think that's the way the world is, like Garrett, and decide to transition. And if these people are being given easy access to hormone therapy and to sexual reassignment surgery, this is dangerous, because Garrett not only had hormonal therapy, but even had breast implants and even had an operation to remove his testicles. This man can never have children. Even if he's gay, he can never get a surrogate mother to have his own children for him. And he will have to take testosterone replacements for the rest of his life because now he is unable to produce it himself. Or because he ended up in the wrong crowd who influenced him to do things that he shouldn't have done. And not only that, the medical professionals didn't do their job to rigorously explore his mind and make sure that he actually was somebody suffering from gender dysphoria. Expect lots of lawsuits in the next decade or two to come out, and more people who are detransitioners to tell their stories, and expect a dialogue to happen about sexual reassignment surgery and trans people and detransitioners and the culture surrounding it. Hopefully a dialogue will happen in regards to sexual reassignment surgery and whether or not it's the right thing to do, whether or not other therapies should be allowed. Hopefully these gender communists are rooted out of the medical system and we start to get people who are sane and will follow procedures, and hopefully people who don't have gender dysphoria are not being diagnosed as such and put through the process. Will this happen? I don't know. The left will probably do their very best to suppress all of this to the best of their ability, so it's up to us to make sure that that doesn't happen. But anyway, that's all I've got to say on the matter, and so until next time, like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, I'll see you all later.